And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. Acting on a referral from the intelligence community's Inspector General, FBI agents have begun an investigation to determine the level of security used in protecting Hillary Clinton's private email server. Investigators have also been in touch with Clinton attorney David Kendall to determine whether a thumb drive in his possession containing copies of emails Clinton had sent while Secretary of State is also being securely held. Now, it should be noted that the FBI has indicated that Mrs. Clinton is not a target of the investigation and that the investigation is designed to determine whether classified information may have been transmitted by private email system, making it possible that such material could have fallen into the wrong hands. Now, the Clinton campaign has continuously stated that none of the emails were classified at the time they were sent. However, some have, after the fact, been deemed classified by the White House. Now, this raises a whole bunch of questions. For starters, and I'm going to direct it to Noah. Noah, you have been talking about the fact that David Kendall, the attorney for Mrs. Clinton, holding that thumb drive, which potentially contains classified emails, raises some pretty serious questions since he's not a member of the government.
Well, the IG suggests that it does contain classified material. Nothing in Mr. Kendall's biography suggests that he has clearance to have these classified documents on his person. In fact, he's currently mishandling them if they're on some thumb drive. The State Department apparently late breaking today cleared him to have access to these documents. Why? Because he's a Clinton. That's what's all ridiculous and theatrical about all of this, is that we wouldn't be in any of this position. And so we're not investigating Mrs. Clinton, but we wouldn't be in this position if we weren't investigating Mrs. Clinton. Mrs. Clinton is the whole reason for this investigation. She mishandled documents. As a result, we're involved in the FBI, and we have the attorney, Mr. Kendall, who's behaving in a fashion that resulted in an indictment and a conviction for David Petraeus, but yet he's not being treated in the same fashion. Why?
So, Josh, do you see it as Ed Klein, the author who wrote a pretty incendiary book about the Clintons not long ago, he has been making appearances right here at Newsmax, in fact, where he is suggesting that Mrs. Clinton is very concerned about being indicted. Do you see that as a real possibility?
I think whether she's indicted or not is irrelevant in terms of the political implications this will have on her.
Well, those are two separate issues. I agree.
Right.
So the first question is, do you see that possibly happening? And then we can go to the political, where I agree with you. I don't think...
Unlike yourself, I'm not an attorney, so I can't speak to that. But what I can say is that the optics of this are just awful for her. Yeah. The Americans want to elect a candidate that they can trust. And she's losing their trust. And the fact that she'll be testifying in October about this, that's just going to be to her detriment further. So I think what's really interesting, as Noah touched on, is how badly David Petraeus was beat up over this.
He was.
And what he did, like, paled in comparison to what Hillary did.
I'm going to keep saying this because I know what the IG has said, but until the investigation's completed, if she sent classified information, this is America, we don't convict you of it until there's evidence. So let's keep that in mind. Joe, can she recover from this politically? I do have to agree with Josh. I mean, the political impact of this is a very different thing than the legal impact. She may not be indictable for this, but politically, has it already wiped her out?
It's like Bill Cosby, right? He may not go to jail, but boy, in the court of public opinion,
much jobs anymore.
That's the thing. It's a Cal Ripken type streak at this point. Every day we're talking about negative stuff with Hillary Clinton, and never about what her campaign's about, how she's going to beat this person, what she's going to do on this, and that's a big problem when you're always on defense, Rick.
So meanwhile, as Mrs. Clinton's poll numbers appear to be steadily in decline, some Democrats in Congress have now been rallying to her defense. But will this defense continue should the vice president enter the race, Noah?
I don't know. I think it will. Joe Biden has a ton of friends on the Hill. He was the president's emissary to the Hill for the better part of his presidency. Yeah. So if he were to get in the race, I think it would really split quite a few influential members of the Democratic Party. I don't know whether or not they would abandon Hillary Clinton just yet. And to a point that you made, Josh, I think politically for her, that October testimony is going to be really probably quite good for her because it provides her the opportunity to present herself at which she loves to be, as a victim, as put upon, as beset on all sides by aggressors, particularly
because the rules don't apply to the Clintons.
Right, exactly. So she's going to do what she did when she testified on the Benghazi matter, which was feign indignancy and really generate a little bit of support, if not sympathy.
But you know what, Noah? At the same time, it carries on the story, and you don't want that to be out in the news and in the paper a month out.
I have to end the Clinton bashing corner over here, if you don't mind terribly, because As our own Joe Concha has pointed out, Mrs. Clinton has been known to take on a Southern accent of sorts when speaking to Southern voters, and it looks like she may have done it again, this time during a chair chat with the chairman of the South Carolina Democratic Party, Jamie Harrison, as this Weekly Standard video points out.
I want to congratulate you for coming up with this and trying to, give your viewers a little behind the scenes understanding of those of us who throw our hats in the ring. I have to tell you, I used to hear my friends who got there before I did to Planned Parenthood talk about it, and I would go, sure, I'm sure it's great. So Bill and I are having the best time. I have to tell you, he is just putty already. When you're holding that grandchild, a million memories are going through your...
All right, Joe, first your assessment. Has her Southern accent improved since that last video?
Not improved, but has become confused. I don't know if you remember.
She was going back and forth.
The 1991 movie Robin Hood, where they put Kevin Costner in the role. He was kind of supposed to be British, but not really. And halfway through the movie, the accent just kind of went away and it would come back. It's exactly what we heard here. This is what bugs me, all right? Whoever's interviewing her, I'm not saying be confrontational, just be like, what's with the accent? Why are you doing this? It's insulting to me as a South Carolinian.
I got to say this. I didn't think, at the beginning of that conversation, I'm going, well, wait, where's the Southern accent? I then heard it.
Putty.
I then heard it. But it was almost as if she realized she had been criticized the last time.
Maybe.
Because it wasn't quite as pronounced.
It's a microcosm of everything that's wrong with her campaign.
We will be watching as the primaries move down there. So a question for you. Are you a fan of Mrs. Clinton's Southern accent? Do you think Democrats are covering for her? Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know. Coming up, can Donald Trump be controlled in tomorrow night's debate? Stay tuned.